Hello, welcome to Punk Rock PC Repair. Today we're going to be working on a Dell Inspiron 1545. We're going to be replacing the fan because it's noisy and it doesn't cool well and the computer reboots itself. And a piece of crap, but I'm going to do a complete teardown so you can see what all the guts look like. So yeah, let's go. I'm going to start with removing the battery so we don't electrocute ourselves. And I'll get my nifty little cups here set up. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is get the right screwdriver, and we're going to take off the access plate. Now this access plate covers up the wireless card, the RAM, quite possibly some other stuff I don't exactly remember. Okay, oh, it covers up the processor, the heatsink, but unfortunately we have no access to the fan. So in order to replace this, we have to tear the whole thing apart. So I'm going to start by removing the two screws that hold on the hinge cover on the other side of the laptop. Keep one spot. What I like to do with this model is take all the screws out of the bottom first, because that means I don't have to keep flipping the laptop back and forth. So we'll take out the two hard drive screws, because you cannot take the cover off without the hard drive being out. So then we're going to pull the hard drive out, and we're going to take the two RAM sticks out, and then I'm going to remove the optical drive. There's only one screw for the optical drive. It just slides out like that. Don't try to tear one of these apart unless you have a lot of room, because they spread out to be quite large when you get them all apart. So now I'm going to take the rest of the screws that hold the palm rest to the bottom plastics out. I don't know how many there are, but there's a few. Today's background music is the Dropkick Murphys. The album is called Do or Die. Thank God I've got a magnetic screwdriver. You know, you think they would be able to do this with 4 screws, one on each corner, and not have to put 25 screws in. I mean, it's a square, 4 screws, and you think it would hold it together. Use these cool little cups to keep all my screws in. So we'll see how good it works for us when we're done. If we have any leftover screws, I don't care. It's not my laptop. Alright, now I think we've got all the screws out. So what I have to do is unhook the 2 wires for the antenna for the wireless card. These actually run up through the top of the machine up into the LCD frame and act as the antenna. But right now they're just in my way. So now we flip the laptop over, open her up, take off the hinge cover. It always looks like it's going to break, but they don't. Now we're going to take the keyboard off. Screws for the keyboard. That just flips up. One little tab here that holds cable in. The keyboard's up. Now what we got to do is take the 2 wires from the wireless card on the bottom and run them through this hole at the top of the motherboard. And then we thread it out of these little tabs that hold it in place. That. Now we've got to take the actual video cable, unplug that, get that out of the way. Now the webcam cable. This one's a pain in the ass. There's no place to grab onto it. It comes out like that. Lift the LCD screen up so that it's kind of vertical, so that it doesn't put any weight on either side, so it doesn't flop over when you're taking the screws out. And you remove the 4 LCD assembly screws. Alright, and we lift the LCD assembly off. Maybe someday, if somebody's stupid enough to let me work on their laptop again, I can show you how to tear apart the LCD. Maybe if there's enough room in this video at the end, if it goes well, I can tear apart the LCD screen. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Alright, this is the Bluetooth cable. And this person was cheap and they didn't actually buy a Bluetooth card, so this is just a dummy controller here. It does absolutely nothing. Now what we got to do is disconnect the cable from the power button. I had to go fix a laptop that another technician had been out to and replace the motherboard, put it all back together, hit the button and nothing happened. So they thought the motherboard was bad. They sent me back with a second motherboard and I looked and this cable wasn't hooked up. That was the only thing that was wrong with it. Hit the button, computer doesn't turn on. Dumbass didn't put that cable on. So you always make sure to remember to check that that cable is connected when you get done. So now we're taking the screws out for the palm rest. This entire assembly is the palm rest here. Touchpad, if anything goes wrong with the touchpad, button doesn't work, you gotta replace the whole palm rest because it's all one piece. So there's one silver screw there. 4 black screws. Okay, now we need to remove the cable from the touchpad. By the way, these little flippy things here, if you're not careful and they go flying, you'll never find them again. And then you can never plug this cable in and you've just broken this laptop. So don't do that. Now, I believe we're ready to crack the palm rest. So I got my cool little plastic dealie here. And we'll start one corner. The other corner. Work way down, pop the little snaps. And palm rest comes off. Running out of room. Alright, now see, this is how dumb Dell is. Here's the fan. Look, oh, you could pull it out so easily if they wouldn't have, oh, there's one little edge of the motherboard that's covering up the fan. So I've got to actually pull the motherboard out of the machine to be able to replace the fan. Where's the fan? It's in here. This is the replacement fan. They promised me it would work. There we go. Yep, it's the right fan. That was one thing when I worked for Dell. A lot of times they'd send the wrong fan, so you'd get it all tore apart, and then you'd take the old fan out, put the new one in, it didn't fit, or the screws wouldn't line up or something. All right, now we need to pull the cable for the audio. Just kind of fold that out of the way. Remove the cable for the fan. Doesn't look, oh, yep. Bearings are shit. See, it should spin like that. That one don't do that. So it's dirty bearings or something's fucked up. Alright, now we've got to take the USB cable. This cable here runs to a USB port right here. That's all it does. It's just a controller for USB. So pull that out. Okay, now there's a daughter board here that's got to come out. A little spacer here. This is for the PCI Express card. So, get my motherboard in here. There's 3 screws that hold that on. Holds it to the motherboard. 2 that hold it to the frame. What was that? What happened?
Not your just spot.
Cameraman. Nice work. Alright. It comes off. That gives us access to the screw under here. And screw here. They've actually got little triangles near all the screws that have to come out for the motherboard to come out. So that makes it a little bit easier. All that fucking work to get down to this, and then, let's see. Meeting with resistance. There's another screw somewhere. Ah, I'm an idiot. I forgot. You gotta take the heatsink off. 5 screws that hold on the heatsink. Comes off. A lot of times when you pull the heatsink off, if you're replacing the motherboard, this little purple foamy shit is supposed to be stuck to the heatsink, and that'll come off and stick to this like it did here. So you gotta take that off and put it back on here before you put it on the new motherboard. This is the graphics chip, and if you don't have that heat pad there, it'll overheat, and it'll reboot itself, and it'll shut down, and it'll be a pain in your ass. So now we should be able to pull it right out. Oh, you gotta take the spacer out here, and then this kind of pops out. There we go. There's the motherboard. All that work to replace this little crappy fan. So, there's a new fan. Okay, that was the actual PC repair right there. Like a minute. But there's all the shit you gotta do to get it apart. So now we're gonna put it back together. Motherboard goes in. Make sure you don't get the cables pinned underneath it. That would suck. And put the screws back in. Normally, if I was doing this at a customer's site, that would be a lot faster than this because I wouldn't be talking all the time, explaining everything I'm doing. So now we'll plug in all the cables. Except for the power, that's got to go on after the palm rest goes back on. And we'll put our little plastic dealie back on here and kind of give it a bend so that it fits around the ports, which lines up good. Now we put our daughter board back on. If I was like hungry or something, I could get this done in a half hour, 20 minutes. If I had to take a shit. I gotta get this computer back together, I gotta shit. That goes back on. Put our spacers back in. Okay. Now I will put the palm rest back on. Snap it all back in place. Decided to use a silver screw here and black ones for the rest of it, but whatever. That was the keyboards. Hope you enjoy the tunes when I put this back together, because I don't really have to explain anything else. I'm doing the opposite of what I did earlier. One thing, when you take the heatsink and you put it back on, you always want to alternate your screws. You don't want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, so it evenly presses down on the heat paste. Normally I would be putting new heat paste on here, but again, it's not my computer, so I don't care. I'm not going to waste heatsink or heat paste. It's somebody else's machine. Don't drop your screw container. Now, the shitty part. This one isn't too bad. This has got to go underneath here. These cables for the LCD are a pain in the ass, and they're a pain in the ass on every model, but some are worse than others. And this one is actually not too bad, but it's still a pain in the ass. It's a small pain in the ass. This fucking webcam cable. I hate the webcam. People shouldn't have webcams on their laptops. The cables suck. Alright. There's one there. This one. This one here. And you have to be careful. These are very delicate connections, and you will bust them off if you push too hard. Now we can put our power button back in. Do that first so you don't forget it. Touchpad. To get it back together and the touchpad doesn't work, you didn't plug this cable in. I betcha. This part sucks, because you gotta tuck it under here, and at the factory it's always somebody different that puts them together, and they don't give a shit, so sometimes the wires are cocked this way or bent this way, and then they don't fall back into these tracks right. Start sweating. Screaming. Alright. That wasn't too bad. Pull the cables through. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to put the keyboard back on now so I don't have to flip it back over again until I'm ready to use it. So, because I'm that confident that I fixed this. Sometimes this cable's a bitch too. Cables plugged in. Yes. It's better to check 2 times before you put it all together than have to tear the fucking thing apart. So, 2 screws for keyboard. Oh, hinge cover back on. Got it. Forgetting terms for shit now.